Now then, people, good evening, good morning, good afternoon, depending on when you're watching this. I just wanted to do something a little bit different this evening, do a bit of an analysis video, if you will, just on yesterday's performance and what that means for Leeds United moving forward. Look, at the end of the day, Leeds learned how to win ugly, and that's absolutely massive, especially on the road. We cannot get away from the fact that Leeds United won just two away games in the whole of last season. We've played one already, and we've already won one. We're 50% on the way to what we did last season. It's absolutely massive. Halfway there already after just one away game. And I think as well, we need to talk about the manner of the win at the City Ground. You know, it might tell us actually more about this Leeds United side than if we'd have gone there and battered Forest 3-4-0. Because it wasn't always pretty. We weren't at our scintillating best. I thought we did well in the first half, but some would say Forest were the better side. I think it was pretty even, but we definitely weren't at our brilliant best. But we stayed in the game. You know, we kept a clean sheet. Anton Stach produced that beautiful moment. Is there a conversation for him being one of the best dead ball specialists in the league? I think so. Dominic Szoboszlai will have something to say about that, but outside of him, who knows? But 1-0, 3 points, get on the coach. We're back to Yorkshire, back home. Obviously, we've got to go down there on Tuesday, and hopefully I'll see you for the watch-along for that as well. But I'm starting to wonder, especially on the road, have Leeds under Farker started to learn how to win ugly on the road? Because that is what we have been missing. You know, that is what we've been missing, or definitely were missing from last season. Even in the Championship, you could argue on the road, we struggled at times to win ugly. I was talking to Jack City about it today. You know, places like Cardiff and that, it's just horrible, isn't it? It's just stinking. So, again, I'm not going to sit here and say it was an unbelievable performance, because it wasn't. And there are areas we need to improve, particularly going forward. And again, you know, that's the one area. That's why we're looking at attacking options. And I hope that we can potentially sign McCallum Mudryk. That would be ideal for what we need, for me personally. Blistering pace, great ball carrying ability. We'll get into more of that a little bit later on. But how many times over the years have we said, you know, Leeds play well and we come away with absolutely nothing? We did that a lot under the GOAT Bielsa era, you know. How have we not won that? You know, we've dominated the ball, we've created loads of opportunities, we've been entertaining, etc., etc. But we got absolutely nothing to show for it. And yesterday was different. You know, and there are going to be games in the Premier League where things don't click. You know, again, talking with Jack, it was just a Premier League affair. You're away from home. The opposition make it difficult. The crowd gets involved. You don't create lots of chances. Can you still find a way to win? And you can. And yesterday, Leeds did that. Anton Stach did that. And it's a massive quality to have. You know, the facts are the away record has to change. It has to change. Because this is, for me, 2 away wins last season, as good as last season was, it's quite, when you strip it back, you're like, what? Just 2 away wins? We simply can't have another season of that when you're purely relying almost entirely on that Ellen Road atmosphere and the home crowd, 4 points. We already know what that can give us as a team. But if Leeds really want to progress, and we're talking top 10 here, we're talking even some on the coattails of European places, that has to change. Otherwise, you've got no chance. You've got no chance. You have to start picking up more points and wins and 3 points, for that matter, on the road if you really want to progress. So we're going to have to start going to difficult grounds and picking up results. And Forest is one of the most difficult grounds in the division, I believe. So give me a horrible 1-0, a deflection on the road. Give me a set-piece winner that we got. Give me 3 points and I'll see you next Saturday vibes, you know? And we've got 1 win on the board immediately. Now, it doesn't mean our problems away from home have disappeared, of course not. But psychologically, getting that first win immediately is massive, especially at somewhere like Nottingham Forest, with the side that they've got. And I would argue we could be potentially competing with them for a similar sort of position come the end of the season. There's a certain look of maturity within this Leeds United side compared to last season, especially with the extra additions as well. You've got a Premier League player in, Harry Wilson. You've got Mihajlovic, who's been competing in Serie A. They come with a lot of experience, Elvedi included. So when we talk about that maturity, and you could argue this echoes over to Daniel Farker as well, because what we did see, or what I noticed, was patience. The manager after the game said he was going to bring Stach off, but he had patience with his performance and said, you know what? I know if in them key moments he's going to give me something. A lot of us as fans were bemoaning him in the comments on the watch along. I don't think he had a great day at the office, but all is forgiven, all is forgotten. But that's what I'm saying about having that patience, not rushing it, running forward, making daft passes, leaving yourselves exposed, and then Forest getting one on the counter. We didn't do that. We didn't do that. We stayed in the game. We didn't panic. The manager didn't panic. We remained competitive. Remember when Longstaff came on, I was thinking, yeah, the change here, start, switch. It wasn't. He went with three midfield and out of possession, 5-3-2. So we are gaining experience, gaining maturity, having patience, the manager specifically. With this side, we've got physicality, we've got experience, we've got composure. There's a bit more Premier League nous within the squad, because we know we're not going to dominate every single Premier League game for 90 minutes every week. Sometimes you do have to suffer. Sometimes you do have to defend. And sometimes you've got to make the games horrible. And when the opportunity eventually comes, you've got to take it. And that's what happened, which brings me perfectly onto the match winner, Anton Stach. What a moment late in the game away from home. Like I've said, could he potentially be one of the best set-piece takers in the league? I think so. And this is when we have to talk about as well, when we talk about progression. Leeds United must progress. Leeds United must win more games away from home in order to climb up the table, because clubs will come for a player like Anton Stach if you do not. That's why I don't agree with the notion of, Europe and all that, you shouldn't really go for it, etc. Well, if you don't go for it, you don't keep players like that long term. You just don't. And having someone like him who hasn't had a great game, but when the pressure's on and the chips are down, bang, this is why having players capable individual moments is so important. That's why I don't mind like someone like Mudryk coming in and just training him for a year and people losing their head over that. Why should we improve their player? Because he's a player that can create magic moments. At the end of the day, sometimes your striker's not getting a sniff. He had a few touches. Sometimes your winger can't get past the man, So sometimes you have to unlock it with a set piece, and Leeds, I think, second only. I think probably to Arsenal last season for goals from set pieces. And we have two really now, but one main one in Anton Stach standing over it. And he turned that one opportunity into 3 points. Because over 38 games, their moments accumulate as well. Do you know what I mean? We saw that last season. A draw becomes a win. A defeat becomes a draw. 2 extra points here and there. 1 extra point here and there. Climbs you up the table. And we saw that. We saw that last season. But to get wins away, it'd be huge. And let's not ignore as well the clean sheet. Because obviously, majority of people will be talking about Stach's winner. But the clean sheet's huge as well. I don't think, people talk about Forest being the better side, and okay, I hear it, but they didn't really create anything from open play. We were difficult to score against. And I do want to mention again James Trafford, England's future number one, the best goalkeeper we have signed or had since Nigel Martin. I believe he will be that good. He was calm. He brought a presence, a little bit of arrogance, but you need that in his position. It reminds me of Aaron Ramsdale, but better, if you get me, in terms of that arrogance, that swagger that you need to have. Thick as 2 short planks, but a great goalkeeper. All the early signs from this current setup and this current side are promising. And if we can't continue to keep clean sheets regularly, even on the road, then you don't need to score 3 goals to win. And an Anton Stach free kick is all you need, Now, what I don't want to do is get too carried away. And what I mean by that, it did highlight to us that we still need some difference makers in the forward line, and that's why we need to remain active and pounce where possible until the window shuts. Because we, like Forest, we didn't create a lot from open play. What have Forest done? They've put 80 million on the table for, Igor Thiago at Brentford. There you go, have that. Leeds United hopefully can sign someone like Mudryk. You're going to struggle to replace DCL, nor would I want him replaced, but that's why I didn't mind Delap, because it's another option. Can you bank on Mecha? Not sure. Is there enough there in Okafor, Aronson, Wilson, James, Nonto? Maybe not. So we do need that X factor. And it was amazing, that moment of brilliance that Stach gave us with that World Day, but you're not going to get that every Saturday. So we want a player that can receive the ball and create something out of nothing. And with Mudryk's pace, he can do that. Someone explosive, someone unpredictable. Look at Anthony Elanga for Newcastle today. He's got similar sort of pace, you know? Someone who gets the ball immediately and the opposition defender thinks, fuck, I've got to deal with this guy. And if he's not doing it, then you bring on Okafor, but it'd be nice to have something that little extra. That's why we need it. There is something missing, you know? Because next time we won't be as fortuitous in getting a free kick and Stach might put it wide or whatever. So it does lead. There are spaces that need filling in that forward line. But what I will say, I'm massively encouraged with that first performance. You know, I'm not saying we're currently, world beaters. We're going to get, Champions League and all that sort of stuff on the back of one football match. Of course I'm not. There are going to be setbacks. It's not going to be plain sailing. There might be times when we get battered on the road. There'll be some games where you're coming on here again saying, Joe, you're full of shit. Why are you backing him? Blah, 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 blah. But what we do have, that many Premier League sides need to have, is adaptability, can you win when you're on top flying because you got the finishers? Yes, you got the gunman up top. Can you win when you're average? Can you win when the opposition frustrates you? Can you nick something from a set piece? You need to have this. Can you protect a lead? I think we can. Can you go in and come back home with 3 points? Yes. We can. Last season we only managed 2. We finished 14th. We finished strong. And a lot of that was down to Ellen Road. But if we really want to progress, we really want to keep the players and continue to improve this squad, then you need to improve that away record. One game, one away win is huge. It's progress already. These horrible little 1-0 victories on the road are priceless. Getting off to a good start is priceless. Everyone remembers them 4-0s, the incredible performances. But sometimes the difference between having a comfortable season, and maybe pushing it, is them sort of results. Is them 5, 6 scrappy wins on the road. Give me loads of them any day of the week. Any day of the week. But I want to know what you folks think. Was Forest simply a solid opening away victory, or did you see something different with this Leeds United side? Have we finally learned to win ugly? And I guess, did you also think, and when you look back, is there something missing in that forward line? That extra little spark? We've got willing runners, etc. But is there that player that gets you off your seat and you think, fuck? Like Rafinha. I know we're not going to get Rafinha, but whenever he got the ball, I thought something could happen. Mudryk's nowhere near on his level. But he's a player that can make something happen. So we are missing that final bit of spark, I believe, because we won't be as fortuitous next time where we get a free kick and it's just a point. Still amazing, by the way, at the City ground. But we didn't create a lot from open play. And having a player that can, get round his man, be explosive, find the back of the net, find that killer pass, that's what we need. So I want to know in the comments what you thought. Please do smash a like on the video. Please do subscribe to the channel. Continue to get your comments in. Plenty more Leeds United content coming your way. The Final Word will be back tomorrow night after Monday Night Football as Chelsea play Fulham, I believe. Plenty more Leeds United content coming your way and sprinkling of other bits as well. But as always, thanks for watching the channel. Please subscribe, get your comments in, hit that notification bell, and I'll see you in a bit. Peace out. Leeds.